Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. It is Sunday, October the 23rd, 2022. I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and I am joined by the one and only, the legend of women's DFS basketball, rated number one, not only in the nation, but internationally ranked number one. It's Deb Lutz. How are you, Deb?
I'm doing great today, Coach. Thanks. I was just mentioning to you earlier, it's like my head is in so many different places. I'm doing my lineups for football, and then I'm prepping for the podcast for basketball and trying to get it's crazy.
It is the craziest day, and I thank God I feel good though now. Yesterday I did basketball and was just on fumes though. That West Coast to East Coast trip with the red eye overnight flight, and I was like in the clouds. I couldn't even wake up to do football. So I just, crash. And if you didn't catch it, there's still time after this pod. Catch the NFL pod that Steven and Crash did yesterday. It was fantastic, and it definitely will get you ready for the action today.
Absolutely. It was a great one. I did get a chance to listen to it. Yeah, they've got some really good picks in there. So, and we're going to have some really good picks here. I'm ready. I had a good night last night in basketball, and I feel like I'm starting to get back into the swing of things for the NBA and get a feel for things. So looking to crush it today.
That's fantastic. And it looks like there's two people in here right now because everybody's doing NFL. But what's going to happen is this afternoon when football's winding down, they're going to be like, holy cow, we got to get basketball ready. Then they'll watch it. So
they're going to listen to the pod. Exactly.
They'll listen to the pod. So for those that or I hope you did well in football and that you're going to just crush it now in basketball. And anybody, RJ, thank you, RJ. You get a gold medal for being in here. I'm so proud of you. I knew Coach Mom would be in here because she's got to be.
Mom.
There's no choice there. But we got a third, so it's getting crazy in here now, Deb. So anyway, most of this, and we figured it would be on Sundays that once football wound down in the afternoon that people would jump on and check it out. So we're going to go through the 5-game main slate, and we'll go through break down the games, talk about our pay up value and fade plays for the NBA slate, and then let you get on your way. We'll make it fairly quick today. We're fine-tuning the schedule to get all the podcast times right for this coming week. But today's going to be a blast. We've got baseball, basketball, football, of course, and NASCAR. So we've got a full plate of DFS sports. It is going to be nuts. But let's get the basketball going, Deb. And after this, we'll also talk a little bit about ownership. I think these numbers are going to shift as the day goes on, but at least gives you a feel if you're going chalky or if you're going to have, some early plays here that you can get with some good leverage. Yeah. All right. Again, dfscoachtalk.com. If you see the on the bottom scrolling, if you want to sign up for the Lucas special, jump in. We'd love to have you. You can sign up right at our website. If you're watching on YouTube right now, quick thumbs up would be very much appreciated. Hit the subscribe button and the little alert in the upper corner. All right, first game at 7 o'clock is the Utah Jazz, 2-0. Nobody saw that coming.
Crazy.
And the New Orleans Pelicans, 2-0 as well. So somebody's going to be 3-0 out of this pair. And the spread is 8.5 favoritism to the Pelicans. They're starting to look like the real deal. And you got a big, giant number here, Deb, 230.5. So not much to worry about there, although there is a game later that does beat it by 1 point. But
it's juicy, though. I like it.
Yeah, this is a good one. So Azubuike's out for Utah. Jackson Hayes questionable for the Pelicans. Lewis and Liddell out for the Pelicans. So let's break this game down. What do you think right off the bat here? Are you going to have a lot of involvement in the first game?
I am, yeah. I think there's a lot of good offensive options here. I think the pricing is good in this game, particularly on the Utah side. And, Utah, I have not watched. I'm going to watch this game because I have not watched one yet, but I've kind of read the recaps. And
Yeah,
sounds like they're playing an up-tempo game, fun to watch.
they
So,
are.
I think a couple of guys, I mean, I love this Vanderbilt kid. He, I mean, we'll see if he can start to score a little, but talk about a rebounder. And
Yeah,
I think he'll do all right against Williamson. I think Williamson has 75 pounds on him, but
yeah.
Vanderbilt's got a few inches and some speed. So um, yeah, I like a lot of guys. If we look first on the Utah side, I particularly like Markkanen. I think he
Mhm.
is the go-to scorer now. He was that way the first couple of years in Chicago, got injured, got shifted off to Cleveland, but he's back in a position where he's going to be taking the most shots on the team. And I think his pricing is still fair at 6,300. So
Well,
um,
let me point counterpoint with you, because that's why we
yeah,
do this. We love to check each other out and have opinions. I really like Markkinen, and I think he's going to be the best scoring player for the season on that team. I think he was the best pickup that they made in all those moves, but I don't like him today, and it's because I love Herb Jones' defense.
yeah,
And
yep.
Herb Jones, he gets up in you, and Markkinen is not going to like that. So, would you believe me if I told you that Markkinen was my fade?
I would not doubt that. I could see that.
So
I think
now
that's
we're
an
totally,
interesting.
because he's going to get ownership, and
He
I
will.
just
He
think
will.
that I think people are going to grab to him, and I think Herb Jones he soon will be an NBA first team defender. So I just
Yeah,
wanted
for
to throw
sure.
that in there, not to mess
Yep.
up your whole
No,
deal, but
not at all. Not at all. I like it. I mean, I completely agree with you. Herb Jones is a great defender. I'm not sure Markkanen's going to be the most efficient guy from a shooting standpoint tonight, but I still think he's going to get his, and I still think that 6K is fair. So,
it
but I
is
think it's a
fair.
totally fair point.
And
Totally
when
fair
you're
point.
7 feet tall, you can shoot over pretty much anybody from three. So that's not too
So
difficult.
yeah, so and then the other guy I mentioned him, I do like Vanderbilt. I think
Hmm.
again at 4,800, I think that's a real nice price on him, and so he's someone that I'm going to look to get in my lineups on that side. On the Pelican side, I always struggle now. I've actually been this is one of the ones where I've been more right than wrong, but the
Yeah.
McCollum versus Ingram, right?
Yeah.
So one of them usually has a smash game, and picking them is always interesting. Tonight, I'm actually going with McCollum. I think
Okay.
I've been on Ingram actually the beginning of the season so far, not McCollum, but I really like how McCollum's game is shaping out. He's playing the point guard,
Yeah.
so if you think about him versus previous seasons, he's going to have a few more assists,
Right.
and he's only 7,000. So that's the big reason that I'm going with him over Ingram is the price differential.
Gotcha.
I think they'll probably get about the same amount of fantasy points, but it'll be a better point per dollar on McCollum. So I like
Okay.
McCollum, and I also like JVal.
Yeah.
I was off in the last game. I thought, yeah, with Williamson playing, maybe he's gonna, take up some of his rebounds or some of his shots, but he continued to get those shots. And I don't know, JVal against Olynyk. I'm not sure there's much competition there. So I
Exactly.
like I like JVal.
Yeah, he's Joe Val's my value play of the entire slate. So this
Okay.
first game is going to be massive for me. I just think Utah doesn't quite have the answer inside. I mean, Olynyk's
Yeah.
more of a 4-5, and Joe Val's just too strong for him. I think he dominates some of that in the paint, and Vanderbilt will be blanketed on Zion. So I think it really does open the game up for Joe Val, and he'll be in most of my lineups today. And like I say, my top value play on the slate. I'm going Brandon Ingram today.
Okay.
I don't like Utah's defensive matchup. They don't have anybody to guard him. Clarkson can't guard him. I'm not sure what they're going to do, but I think Ingram's going to do whatever he wants and score whatever he wants. So if this game stays close, it is 8.5 spread, so I got to think it is. I'm going to be spending some salary with Ingram and Joval being two of the main plays. And a lot of that is because of the matchup situation here and the fact that I'm expecting Jones to hold down Markkanen a little bit, Vanderbilt to hold down Zion a bit. And I think Conley, even though he's older, he's a very crafty defender. He's still a plus defender in my book, not like he used to be, but enough that I think he can hold McCollum somewhat in check. So it's going to be a big game. Like I say, I'm going to have some definite exposure to this one, and I think there'll be a lot of points.
For sure. Yeah, I will as well.
All right, game 2, Deb. It's Washington 2-0, another shocking 2-0 team against Cleveland 1-1. It's a 7:00 game. We know Carey is questionable. Vernon Carey, Corey Kispert remains out. And then we have Windler is probable, but we have Garland. That's the big news. He remains out. And Ricky Rubio won't be back for quite some time. So this game, definitely a lot less scoring expected here. 13.5 point lower total in the first game. Cleveland only favored by 3.5, which I thought seemed a little low, but Washington is 2-0 and that 217 total. So, I'll give you one guy and then I'll let you break down the game and then finish it up. I want to go back also for a value play with Joe Val. To me is LeVert. Karis LeVert's 5,800. I know Donovan Mitchell went ballistic yesterday, which is great, but I think the situation here is going to be a little bit better for LeVert. The defense is a little less for Washington. They'll probably put a little more pressure on Mitchell with Monte Morris. And I just like the setup here at that price for LeVert because the volume scorer that Garland is, that, those pieces have to be picked up. Mitchell picked up most of them yesterday, but I think LeVert gets a lot of that today. So that's really, I think, a smart play. So go ahead, break down the game.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you at all for going after LeVert. I mean, he's shown he can put up 40, 50 points. For me though, the key is that it is a back-to-back for Cleveland. It was, kind of a tough game last night. And, I think that, Washington's a little bit more rested. They've got some weapons. I mean, I think they're going to surprise people a little bit. They've been surprising me, but, Kuzma's playing great. Beal is a star. Porzingis is really solid at the center, and they've got a good bench. So, I don't like this game at all. There's a good chance I don't end up with anyone from this game. But if I do go with someone, it's probably going to be Kuzma on Washington. He's just been playing great. I think, defensively, I mean, I thought about Beal for a second because I think he's going to have a big game pretty soon. But he's got a Coro defense, and Coro is another one of those defenders kind of underrated. I think he's really solid. I don't think this is the game for Beal, but I'm going to be really, really light in this game.
Yeah, I'm going to be pretty light too. I just don't think it's going to be a super high scoring game with some games on this slate that are super high scoring. So don't want to spend a lot of salary there either. Was a little tempted to go back to Jared Allen. He punched me in the nose last night, but we know that he's capable. So, possibility if I can fit Allen would be my other guy that I'd go to here. But I do think Cleveland wins this game. I think they're the much better team, even without Garland. I think they're really good. All right, let's go to game 3. It's at 8:00. So an hour later, we've got Minnesota Timberwolves at OKC Thunder. Let me check just to see if we have anybody in here. Yeah, we're double digits. So not everybody's sleeping on us. JT, good morning, man. And Rodney Pollard, love these guys. You could easily just do all the football like a lot of people are doing, then watch this back before basketball. But those that are here, I'm proud of you guys. I love it.
Yeah, right. I think Rodney won the last night, right? The ticket last night. So congrats on that, Rodney, and thanks for joining us again.
He's got to make $1 million now in football, or we're gonna give him the business. So, all right. Are you ready for the 8:00 Minnesota Timberwolves at the Oklahoma City Thunder? T-Wolves are 1-1, Thunder are 0-2. Minnesota is an 8-point favorite on the road, and you do have a nice solid 228.5 total here. Oklahoma City seems like they're opening it up a little bit more from what they did last year. Out today, Garza and Anderson for Minnesota, and then the youngster Jalen Williams for the Thunder is out as well. So anybody jump out to you on the page here, Deb?
Yeah, my pay-up guy on the slate is Rudy Gobert. which I can't believe we're at 9,000 on Rudy Gobert, but he's playing great so far in Minnesota, and I just don't see who OKC has to be in their front court to basically kind of defend or get those rebounds from him. I mean, they've got right now. I mean, I'm not sure. I think last game, I think Poku started at center.
Yeah, he did. They're probably because of Gobert and Towns' size. I would think they'll have to go back to JRE or somebody with some size.
Or Muscala. Muscala played a lot of minutes, and he's someone that's going to be in my lineup actually, because I think they absolutely need him, and he's almost min salary. He's 3,300 on DraftKings. I think he is min on Fanduel. I think he is min. Yeah. So and we've seen he can have some offense, and if they need the minutes from him, he might be a little sneaky play that he's going to get like 0% ownership. So so I will be looking at him as well. But I do like Gobert a lot in this matchup. I like him better than Towns.
Wow.
I think I know, which is kind of crazy. But I've been off Towns for the past couple of years. He just hasn't shown consistently that he has a big game, and he completely folded in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I just think Gobert is going to get more of those, rebounds and blocks to put him over the top. And I think they're priced pretty similarly. So he's going to be my pay-up option.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think Minnesota should dominate this game in the paint. I mean, they really should. The thing is, Gobert's just not a scorer. So it's very interesting. This is where I have, the trouble of, I loved playing Towns and Gobert, but in different scenarios. Now that they're in this kind of mix and they're going against a team with a weak interior, you just wonder how that's going to come together. Now, I'm debating on Towns, but Kenrich Williams is a really good defender. He's one of those guys you don't hear much about, but he really is a good defender. And I think he can stick with Towns, out there at the 3-point line. And so it's a tricky game.
Yeah.
The guy that I'm leaning to here, though, and you're going to probably disagree, but it's a little bit of Anthony Edwards. And I know he's going to get Lou Dort defense, but this just seems like a game in transition where he can get some buckets. And not sure I'm going to go there. But I think he'll be less owned than he usually is. And it should be an up-tempo game with a lot of points.
Should be pretty up-tempo. But, I do think Lou Dort's a pretty good defender. Anthony Edwards is creeping up there in price. He's not that cheap. He's going to need to get you, 45 points or so to really make it happen. So
he does, and I think he can get there, though.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah,
but the leverage of low ownership too helps sometimes too. In those type of situations. But I'm also interested in that backcourt for the Thunder. You can't risk playing both of them, in my opinion. But I think SGA or Giddey, this is a great spot for them as well. I mean, there are two guards going against them that aren't defensive stoppers by any stretch, and they get up and down the floor. I mean, SGA is just a pure scorer, and Giddey's going to do like he just did, get you close to that triple-double, and those points just add up so fast for him. So, making the decision on one of those two in the backcourt is something that I'm teetering on one way or the other. Pluses and minuses for both, but I think I'd like to have exposure there.
Yeah, I'd like to have some exposure as well. I mean, that was my other consideration for pay-up was Shea. And
he's expensive.
Yeah, he is expensive, but I think he's again, if you look at the rest of that team from a scoring standpoint, he's the guy who's got to score. So
big time.
Yeah. So I think leverage wise, he's going to be a little bit negative, kind of have some high ownership, but he's someone as well that I'm considering, and I did consider him for my pay-up play of the day.
Me too. Speaking of ownership, since you mentioned that, let's take an early look at it to see where things stand. And again, this will change a lot as the day goes on, so keep an eye on it. But just to give you a feel of where we are early, your favorite NBA player in the league, DeAndre Ayton. Just kidding. He's only 6,500, but he's 38% projected ownership right now, which against the Clippers, which I thought was sort of shocking, but it is what it is. I may be right back to my chalky Karis LeVert. He's coming in at 28% at 5,800. Everybody's now doing the jumping on the Donovan Mitchell bandwagon,
Sure.
which I think is, he could have another great game, but that seems like a press there to me. 8,600, 25% ownership. That might be points chasing. What do you think?
Yeah, I think a little bit. I mean, it's, again, particularly with that back-to-back, I mean, he's gonna get his, but again, is he gonna give you a 55 that you need?
Yep. Evan Mobley at 24% at 6,000. He's just underpriced. And he can throw a 50 burger on the board in a second, but there is risk with that. He did, he has some weaker games as well, but I get that. SGA, we both like him. He's fifth right now, 23% at 8,700. Here's one that I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole that I don't understand. Just because he had one decent game, Kevin Love, is 23% projected ownership.
Oh my gosh. Well, he's only 5K, and he just, every once in a while he shows up with a big game, and it's shocking too with the, you got Mobley and Allen, great backcourt players, that he's the guy who came out with the, with the highest DFS score. But yeah, I think that's certainly jumping on the bandwagon.
I mean, it just, if there's ever a play that looks like the sucker, the roadrunner runs under it for the sucker and the rock falls on him, I pull that out once in a while when I really feel like it's one of those plays. And hey, you're welcome to tweet at me or whatever if Love has a big game and tell me I'm crazy. But I don't know. I just don't want to have 17.5 fantasy score Kevin Love in my lineup today.
I agree.
There's your buddy.
RJ is saying that Love might sit. Interesting. All right.
Well, there you go. I hope he doesn't sit.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that would be devastating, because I want him to suck up that false ownership.
Yeah.
But
and that does make your Allen play. That does make your Allen play a little more interesting.
Well, for sure, no doubt. CJ McCollum, 7,000, too cheap. That he's going to be owned
right.
Yeah,
22%. That's why I like him a lot tonight.
He'll finish in the top 5 owned guys today, just because he's mispriced. I'd love a comment. We'll get into this game, so I guess you don't have to comment on it now. We can do it then. But Chris Paul's only 6,900.
Yeah,
that's
I know.
You're not going to get him much cheaper than that.
Absolutely, and I think everyone saw that first game and how poorly he played, but he came right back the next game with a great one. His usual self, double-digit assists, and I think that first game was a little bit of an aberration. He was sitting.
Did you see social media after that game? He's washed up. His career's over. It's one game.
Exactly. So I think it's a bit of an overrating, and what we've seen is Chris Paul cannot play against Dallas. I mean, he's the reason that they lost in the they lost last year.
Dallas has fantastic defensive.
They have his number.
He's
a completely different player against Dallas. He turns the ball over. He doesn't get the assists. But he went right back to in the second game, and I expect in this game as well. I'm real high on Chris Paul. I actually don't have, I gave you my pay up plays, but you and I talked earlier. I'm more interested in this like 7,000, 6,500 to 7,000 range. And Chris Paul is one of the guys who's going to be in every one of my lineups.
I bet you when we look back at the top 10 fantasy scores tonight, you're going to have 5 high-priced guys and 5 right around what you're saying. I think there's that many guys in that range that could be top scores on this slate. I really do. All right, the last couple, and then we'll get back to the last 2 games, because they're guys. Well, this guy we didn't mention, but Jordan Poole's only 5,900, so that makes him tempting in that late game. And Lauri Markkanen, we did mention. That's where I'm going against the grain there. 21%, 6,300. Ant is getting some love. 7,800 at 18.5%. So I may still stay with that, and we'll see how it goes. Somehow Draymond Green rounds out the top group. So good luck with that at 5,900. So I don't like the ownership. I think it'll shift and change some.
Probably will.
You know what? It is what it is. Anybody else join us? No, we have a quaint little group in here today, but I appreciate Rodney and JT and who else? RJ.
RJ.
Yeah. All right. Last 2 games, Deb. Let's hit these. And then we will let people get on to their business. because they've got to get football done. All right, the 8:30 game. Boy, we have an hour and a half then till the last game, so it's going to really be sitting alone at the end of the day. 8:30 is the 0-2 Sacramento Kings. Somehow they always find a way to be 0-2, and the Golden State Warriors 1-1. So looks like 0-3 for Sacramento. Golden State is a double-digit favorite, 10 points, Deb. But this is your winner for total, 231 and a half. Yes. So you'll see on a 5-game slate and 231 and a half, a lot of stacking going on. It's going to be interesting. Nobody out for Sacramento. It's what I've got, at least at this point. Iguodala is likely to play, and so is Mr. Baldwin, Patrick.
Iguodala. Oh, my gosh.
And Iguodala. I know.
Wow.
So that's what we've got. So is this gonna be giant game for you, or what do you think?
No, not giant. My biggest fear here is blowout, right? I think there's risk of a blowout. And we know Kerr has already stated he's not overplaying his guys. So, that was my big reason for Curry not being my pay up, is that he may see a little less time if it blows out. And that's probably why you're seeing Poole at such high ownership, because he's probably the guy who plays more minutes.
Exactly.
So I'm concerned about that. I did read, though, that this next game, they're planning to give both Clay and Danny Green more minutes. So I'm not Danny Green, Draymond Green.
Right.
More minutes. So, that, and I think that's also why we're seeing Draymond at such high ownership. But Draymond is, I don't know. I mean, on the one hand, he's going to be facing KZ Okpala.
Yeah.
But, so I'm not sure. I do have him in my consideration set. I think his price point works for me, but I'm not 100% sold. I'm sort of, between he and Clay, who are priced around the same. Clay is getting much less ownership.
Right.
And I think Clay could have this is the kind of matchup where Clay could have a really big game.
Yeah, he could.
So he might be, from a GPP standpoint, that might be where I'm going. But I'm really, those are the only two guys that I'm considering on Golden State. I'm going to stay away from the high ownership of Poole and stay away from the high price of Curry. And I'm not going back yet until I see something on, because he's burned me already this year. What's his face? The second-year guy. Who?
Wiggins or
no, Wiggins I like. Wiggins is a little expensive.
You're talking Kuminga.
The second-year guy, Kuminga. Yeah. Oh man, that really bummed me out.
Yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah. So I'm staying away from him. On the Sacramento side, my value play is on the Sacramento side, and that's good old Harry Barnes. And, continuing the revenge narrative. He used to play for Golden State. He's had a much more prominent role since he's been on Sacramento.
Right.
Fairly consistent in how he plays. And if you look at how he plays against Golden State, he always just turns it up a notch. I think in the past 2 years, he hasn't gone below a 30 fantasy points. And he's only 5,200. So I'll take that.
Yeah, no, that makes, he is definitely cheaper than he should be. There's no question about it.
Yeah. And then the last guy is, he played his first game, looked really good.
Yeah.
He'll be playing against Golden State's second team. So I'm interested in Keegan Murray.
Yeah. He's going to be a really good one. There's no doubt about it.
I saw him in Summer League, and he was the star. He was impressive.
He got the MVP of Summer League, and he was good. So there you go. You got to see the up close and in person. That's where
it was pretty cool.
Got to stick with him. Are you? I'm surprised he's not starting.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that he doesn't start personally.
Fair point. The last game he didn't, but it was his first game, so that could be why. But we'll have to keep an eye on that, because if he does start, that does change things for me a bit.
Right.
I really do like him, coming off the bench as being that, he's got such an offensive game. So we'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah, I'm going to watch that because, Murray's on my radar. If he's starting, I'm going to play him. Even play him off the bench because it will really shrink his ownership. But I think he's a good sneaky play there on that side of the ball. Golden State's defense is still pretty tricky. They do some good things. But, Sabonis is the guy, if I was going to spend up in this game on the Sacramento side, that I would go to. I know Looney does a fine job, but Sabonis can stretch the floor out. He'll hit some threes on you, and he's crafty around the paint. So I don't think he's a bad play on a slate where really there's not a lot of great centers like you're used to seeing. Right. We don't have all the, Embiids and all these guys that we're used to. So, Sabonis might be the best option out there. I think that's why Ayton's the top projected own guy, is because there's a lack of centers today. So Sabonis is in that seat for me at this moment. I sort of like Wiggins on the other side of the ball. I like this matchup. Barnes has gotten a little slower defensively. And in this game, they're talking about guys getting more minutes, less minutes, this and that. The one constant for them is Wiggins. Usually he gets his minutes regardless. And I think he's the safest play in a high scoring game. And when it's a loosey-goosey defensive game like this, he usually gets a lot more open shots and is a lot more effective. So I will not be stacking this game like a lot of people will, but I will have exposure.
Agreed. Same as me.
All right, last game, your Phoenix Suns. You've got the outfit on there. They got to go to LA.
My new Mikal Bridges shirt.
Oh,
my new Mikal Bridges jersey. Yeah, exactly. Number
Chris 5. Paul looked like a washed up player the first game, so you're going right straight to
the young guys. Well, he's a Philly guy. He and I, our Philly days.
And they even drafted him too, so that's what's funny.
That's right, exactly.
But the Suns are 1-1. The Clippers are 2-0, and Phoenix by 1. So this is a toss-up game, but it's only 219, so it is a dozen points lower.
Yeah.
And you certainly have some great defenders in this game. It looks like Kawhi will be back, but we'll have to get confirmation on that. I do have a question for you, though. What's the deal with Cam Johnson's injury? Are you any views on that?
Yeah, I mean, he's looking like he's a little fragile just based on what we've seen as he's gotten minutes end of last year and this year. But it's a hip problem, and not good. He was he had it during preseason a bit. I saw a game, and then the first game of the season as well. And I don't know, he's questionable, more likely not playing than playing. If he's playing, I'm playing him. And so we just have to take a look. He's still too cheap. I think he's going to be a big offensive weapon for them this year, once he is healthy. So I'm definitely going to be playing him if he's in. But right now, I don't have him. I'm not looking at him because it looks like he's not going to be playing.
Okay. Well,
so that's the latest I've got.
And does that elevate anybody for you that you think possibly that's the reason Ayton's getting even more attention?
Could be.
Yeah.
I think Ayton's getting the attention just because of his pricing versus some of the other centers, and he has played well so far this year. For me, it elevates Bridges. I think that they rely on Cam for threes more than Bridges, but if Cam's not in and you've got to play someone who's a little less of a 3-point shooter, that Bridges is going to, take that on a little bit. Bridges does get Paul George defense though, but I mostly like Bridges because he's got to be in there for his defense. I mean, he's really the glue of the team, and but his pricing is fair, so he's someone that I like. I really like Chris Paul in this game. I think again, he a little bit of a revenge narrative with the Clippers. I think people are underestimating him and sort of overrating his bad first game. But he's just bad against Dallas. So I like Chris Paul here. I think favorable matchup defensively, and he'll be back to his old self. So on the other side of things, this is a tough lineup. I was on Paul George yesterday. He did super well for me, but with Kawhi playing, I think that takes enough away from him that I can't pay up that much. So I'm not going to play George. I'm not playing Kawhi yet. Yeah. Norman Powell, boy, he screwed me yesterday. I mean, I had some great lineups going. I had a 366 on Fanduel with Norm Powell.
Oh,
and
wow.
giving me, like 12 points. So,
Terrible. Good
yeah, that
score,
was
though.
really
Good
disappointing.
score.
Yeah, thanks. That was really disappointing. So, Zubac has been good so far, but I think with Ayton, I think he'll, kind of come back down to earth a little bit. So I'm probably not taking anyone on the Clippers side. Again, low scoring
Yeah.
game. I'll probably have one, maybe two Phoenix guys and no Clippers.
Yeah, I'm not going to be heavy on this game. So I'm hoping for, usually I have to get a bunch of points at the end, and I'm ready to make my move, but it's going to be opposite. I need a nice little lead tonight because I'm not going to have a lot of exposure to this last game. I respect both defenses, and for a lot of the reasons you said, for sure if Kawhi plays, it really messes up the Clippers for me because I don't want to pay up for Kawhi or George against a good Phoenix defense. Powell and Jackson have been too disappointing so far, risky. Same thing with Morris. Zubats maybe, but I prefer trying to use the extra money and go to Sabonis, but not going to have a lot of Clippers exposure at all. I'm with you on the Chris Paul theory. You mentioned it, we talked about it earlier, that Paul just always struggles against the scheme defense that Dallas throws at him. And then he bounced right back. And I think this is a good matchup for him again. He's always had his way against Reggie Jackson anyway. And I think this game stays close. So he should get a lot of action. And he always gets a little extra juice to go back and play at the Clippers. I mean, that's where he spent the majority of his career. So I think Paul is underpriced and a good play. But I doubt I'm going to go anywhere else, Deb. I may just take a one shot and have a big enough lead, hopefully going into this game, that it's not going to be stressful. But if anything changes, like if Kawhi did happen to sit at late news, then you got to go back to George, in my opinion.
Definitely.
And, if Cam plays or not isn't really going to affect either direction that I go there. So I feel pretty good that this game, could be one of those just real hard fought, like 104, 100 kind of games or something of that nature,
Yeah, I
which
don't
would
think it's
make
going to
it
be
well under the total.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a grind out game with the good defenses. So I agree.
No doubt about it. Yeah. All right, so Rico Harris, how are you, my friend? We have Trumpus in here. First time, I think. I don't know. Great to have you, though, man, and thank you for the compliment. I really appreciate you. Yes, Mathurian does look great. He's looking like one of the steals of the draft, man. He looks great. Crash was all over him yesterday, too. So here's what I want to do today. Since these are the loyal people that came through to win the NBA, instead of having a drawing, I know it's not anything, but a free play is a free play, right? I want to give everybody in this chat a $3 ticket to get in the $1 million contest on Draftkings NFL that starts in 35 minutes. So I'm going to do it right now. So everybody that's in here, I'm saying RJ, JT, Rodney, David, Rico, and I think that's everybody. Trumpus. Everybody that's in here, go to Twitter at DFS Coach Talk. You're going to have to do it here in the next 10, 15 minutes. And all you got to do is say, I'm Rico Harris. Here's my PayPal email. Boom. The $3 is in there. Pop that right into that $1 million play on DraftKings or on Fanduel, and then get a free roll winner there, so everybody gets a chance to take a shot at it. So I will be checking the second we click off of here, right onto there. And then for members, in about 5 minutes or so, Stephen, and you too, my friend Cora Corsi, you're a winner as well. So send it over to me. They will be putting up the NFL lineups in about 5 minutes for members, so the timing will work great. And then stay with us the whole entire time. Oh, if you don't have PayPal, then you can send me a Cash App. We can go a backup route, and we're going to get you that money and get you the $1 million. So if you want to Cash App me, Rico, you're welcome to do that. Just send that to me on Twitter. All right, so that's it. But stay with us the full day because we have I want you to hit the NFL. I'd like you to hit our NASCAR's huge today. We had a big week last week. NBA, and Major League Baseball. So Major League Baseball lineups will be coming out. Really good one. Yes, Corey, at DFS Coach Talk. And then you just DM me right there on Twitter with either preferably your PayPal email. Second option would be Cash App email. Just tell me which one and we'll get you that bucks. All right, Deb, let's review our pay up value and fade, and then we'll close out and let everybody get to their football lineups.
Okay. So my pay up was Gobert. My value was Harrison Barnes, and my fade is Steph Curry.
Gotcha. All right, I'm paying up for Sabonis. My values, I got two of them somehow in there, Joe Val and Levert. And then my fade is Markkanen, because I think he's going to be too highly owned against a good defender. So it's going to be interesting.
Awesome.
We will find out. Yep. And then for our members, we'll have some Boom Fantasy. All of their Boom Fantasy basketball stuff will come out this afternoon. So when we post lineups, Deb and I will post our Boom Fantasy picks in there too. So, all right, my friends, that is it. Thank you so much for joining in. Deb, love doing these shows with you. We'll figure out and talk on Sundays what time. We may shift this and do it at a different time so people get a little bit more up to when the games are going to go on. So we'll figure that out. We'll post it in the schedules on Twitter and in Discord for members. And again, if you'd like to join, dfscoachtalk.com. And on the way out, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and alert button. And we want to thank Boom Fantasy for being our sponsor. So that's it, Deb. Good luck today. I hope you sweep all the sports.
It's going to be a great day.
It is. Thank you, everybody, for listening in. I'm going to jump on Twitter now, get those free passes out to you so that we can get somebody in here to take the million. All right. Thank you, guys and gals. Appreciate it. Have a great day, and we'll be back again tomorrow when we look to crush it in NBA, DFS, and Boom Fantasy.